Why do you feel like you have to rush your healing journey? Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and yes, that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But most importantly, grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we're going to talk about how and why you should take your time when it comes to you healing yourself from trauma, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and what to be aware of. Speaking from experience, when you've gone through a significant amount of trauma, you don't have to rush. And the reason why you don't have to rush is because you have to recover. Until you take the time to isolate, until you take the time to reflect, until you separate yourself and realize what needs to be fixed, what needs to be improved, what you need to do better, you're constantly going to feel like you're on a hamster wheel. You're constantly going to feel overwhelmed. You're constantly going to feel depressed. You're constantly going to be worked out and anxious, and you're going to burn yourself out. And no tea, no shade. In 2025 and moving forward, we don't have to work ourselves to death. That is what a lot of people have done and been doing. That is no longer our experience. You have to realize that when you're healing yourself and you're recovering, it takes time. And that it is okay that things take time in life. If you've been through emotional, psychological, spiritual warfare abuse for 20, 30, 40 plus years, and you separate yourself and you want peace, you have to realize that you have to be able to unlearn and learn mindsets and behaviors and certain patterns about yourself and other people. You have to regulate your nervous system. If you physically have been in trauma, your body has to heal. You have to physically rest. You have to physically meditate. You have to physically calm down. Don't ever feel like you have to be at a certain time in your life just because certain people are at a certain time in their life, or because certain people are pressuring you or saying certain things. Speaking from experience, the people who go out their way to hurt and harm you and project trauma onto you want you to rush and feel overwhelmed because they're part of your downfall. The second thing to be aware of is that if people and places and things are not able to be patient with you as you're healing yourself and as you're recovering and as you're taking the time to grieve and unlearn and learn the things that you need to learn, you don't need to be associated with them. You don't need to be around them. You have to realize that as you become the best version of yourself, as you're healing, as you're doing whatever it is that you want to go after, certain people are going to be removed out of your life, and that's okay. You have to realize that everyone is not going to be in your life forever, and that certain people can only show up how they show up for themselves. So if you're taking the time to figure out who you are and love yourself and pour into yourself and break generational cycles and break certain patterns or change certain things like attachment issues, abandonment issues, codependency issues, etc., and people are not willing to do those things, they can't meet you where you are. You don't have to force relationships with people. You don't have to force people to love you. You don't have to show people multiple times how to be there for you when you could be there for yourself. The third thing to be aware of is that because healing is not a one-size-fits-all, it may take weeks, it may take months, it may take days, it may take years, and that's okay. Speaking from experience, I've never met anybody who's took the time to become the best version of themselves where they didn't make time for themselves or it didn't take them years. Like a lot of people who are successful have been doing things for years, months, weeks, and days. All the people who have the most negative things to say about my experience that was in my life at a point in my life have not done anything to where I admire them or I look up to them or I want to be like them. Most people who you look up to had to go through certain seasons and certain chapters of their life where they went through certain things that maybe they don't always talk about. You don't need to be around people who make you feel bad because you process emotions differently, especially when you don't have the resources, you don't have the tools, you didn't have the finances, you didn't have the guidance. Like you had to learn a lot of things for yourself, and I'm speaking from experience. I would say 80% of things in life, 80 to 90%, I've had to learn by myself, you know? And the 5% or the 10% came from a select few of people. And even with the select few people that were in my life, they can only give me a certain amount of information because what they've experienced in their own personal life. So it's like, you don't have to compare your healing journey to other people, because it's like, unless people have gone through the things that you went through, who are they to judge you? Who are they to tell you that you need to get over things at a certain amount of time? I'm speaking from experience. I have no problem advising and recommending this information, but I would never rush somebody and tell somebody that if they don't get over it today, or if they don't take the time to grieve, because it's like, honestly, people who don't take the time to grieve, people who dismiss their problems, people who don't suppress how they genuinely feel, like I said, end up burning out, crashing out. Generally, you're not happy with themselves, and they take that energy on to other people. They end up having resentment, envy, low vibrational, and are miserable. This doesn't mean that they haven't gone through certain things in their life, and like, things, don't take time to get over. But it's like, there's no specific time on when certain things get better for certain people. So it's just like, speaking from experience, like, take your time. Like, who cares if people want to judge you or make fun of you? Like I said, nobody that I knew, like, and a lot of people are not in my life right now currently, nobody that I knew up until now as I'm making this video could say anything about me to make me feel embarrassed or ashamed, because if it was them, they would have been folded. They would not have been able to overcome, and they haven't. This is why people who judge you and talk about you the most, they don't even do what you do. They're never going to be what you're going to be in this life, because they're not even doing what they're supposed to be doing for themselves. And it's like, you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to listen to people who don't do anything that you, like I said, are worthy of doing. So it's just like, as you're healing yourself, the recommendations, the first thing is just to realize that it is okay that you're not always okay. Like, until you learn how to communicate, until you learn how to stop suppressing yourself, until you go to God, ancestors, your universe, take what resonates, leave the rest, until you seek therapy, until you find someone that you can trust, confide in, until you book a service in a session, until you can figure out like what's going on and what's happening to you, and you process what you've been through, like I said, for 20, 30, 40 plus 50 years, you're going to go through a season of withdrawals. You're going to have moments where you feel good. You're going to have moments where you feel bad. And you're going to continue, like I said, to be angry and frustrated and hold on to energy from certain people, places, and things that don't belong to you. Give that energy back to them. If people traumatize you, which people do, okay, which is going to be a different topic for a different video, you don't have to hold on to it. You do not have to hold on to trauma that was projected onto you, or trauma that you've experienced from, like I said, not knowing better, which is going to be the second thing. You don't have to beat yourself up for not knowing what you know now. Like, it does take certain situations. It does take years. It does take months. It does take certain things being away from you, and people, places, and things no longer having access to you, to even realize what you went through, especially if you've been that way your entire life. Like, a lot of people grow up in dysfunction and don't realize that they've been around dysfunction because they've been around toxic and low vibrational people. It's not until something happens in that community, or they move, or they separate themselves, or they get around certain people, and they realize that like all of us have things that we can work on, if we're being honest, in order for us to become the best version of ourselves. So it's like, you don't have to beat yourself up, and I'm not beating myself up, because like I said, I know what I went through. It's a lot of things that people go through that people have no idea, and it's like, people are so quick to judge and be like, well, if that was me, you don't know. And it shows. So don't allow people who had never experienced the things that you've experienced try to make you feel bad about how you choose to handle and react and respond. The third thing is continue to be a loving and good person, because once again, when you are a loving and a beautiful person, this doesn't mean that you deserve to be traumatized. This doesn't mean you deserve to be treated the way you were treated and the things that you went through. But it's like, there's a reason why we go through pain and suffering, and it's not until you realize that enough is enough, or that this is no longer working for you, that you realize why. Once you can realize why you went through a significant amount of trauma and what role you played, you can hold yourself accountable. You can hold yourself and be responsible, improve, learn, apologize to yourself, apologize to those. Go to, like I said, God, ancestors, universe. You could vent, you could be vulnerable. Like, you can't be embarrassed or ashamed to be vulnerable when it comes to trauma, because everybody goes through things. And once again, the main people who are judging and yapping, they be going through the way worse than you. They just try to hide it. They try to act like their sugar honey iced tea doesn't stink, and it does. It smells worse than everybody else's. Thank you. So it's just like, be for real. You have to learn how to be vulnerable. You have to learn how to be honest. Like, it's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed of, because once again, everybody's going through things. Like, be for real. And if people are not, good for you. But a lot of people have experienced pain and suffering, whether they wanted to or not, or like I said, they were born into it. Like, nobody wants to be born into poverty. There are people that grow up homeless, hungry, starving, no lights, no water. Nobody wants to be touched on inappropriately. You have people in families, communities. Nobody wants to grow up and go to jail. Nobody wants to grow up and, take their life and take other people's lives. But they do. And it's not until people learn to be vulnerable. It's not until people realize enough is enough. It's not until people realize that they don't have to compare their life. It's not until people realize they don't have to listen to everybody. And it's not until people take the time to, just pour into themselves, which is going to be the last thing. Like, as you're healing yourself, as you are unlearning and learning things that no longer resonate with you, as you're seeking assistance and guidance and getting yourself back, whether you've lost materials, people, places, and things, all you have to do is continue to show up for yourself. Every single day of your suffering and your isolation is necessary. Like, of course, it seems uncomfortable because a lot of times it's something that you were avoiding or something that you cannot hide from. So when it's unfamiliar and you've never done something like this before, it seems challenging, it seems difficult. But it's like, the more you sit with yourself, the more you go through certain things, the more you learn what you need, like I said, to focus on the things that you don't. Over time, it gets lighter because and it's like, when you go through a significant amount of trauma, it changes you. So it's just like, there's a version of you who suffered and went through certain things that needs to be forgiven, that needs you to be there for themselves, and most importantly, not be so hard on yourself. Like, just because we go through trauma in life doesn't mean it has to change us completely to where we're no longer who we want to hurt. I feel like, from experience, the things that I went through made me way more like attentive to things. And it's not to say that we weren't, like I said, already paying attention. I'm not saying that like we're naive or, innocent. Like, I mean, some people could be naive because, maybe you didn't have the resources and the tools and the guidance. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because it's like, when you're not out here causing trauma into people's lives, like, you don't even think like that. But it's not until you go through it. And this is why, too, don't judge people when they go through things, because every single person who mocked me and laughed and made fun of me, I'm telling you from experience, I've witnessed their karma. Like, I've heard about it, I saw it, and immediately in the moment, they got hit by the unseen forces and the unseen things. So it's like, don't ever mock nobody. Don't ever make fun of no people. No, oh, that can never be me. The same people that can never end up in the same situation times a trillion. Especially when it's bad. Especially when they mocked you and made fun of you. And that's going to be a different topic within itself. But the whole purpose of this video is to know that you don't have to rush. You do need to take your time. Like, a lot of people, like I said, try to dismiss. If you've been touched on inappropriately for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you are getting to a point where you are no longer able to sleep, and you're conscious and all this stuff, and you feel like you want to take your life and other people's life, you have to realize, until, like I said, you talk about it, you heal, you grieve, that's going to take time. Like, be for real. If somebody passes away that you love, that's going to take time. If you lose your job and you're used to having money, that's going to take time. If you've been in poverty your entire life and you want to get yourself out of poverty, that is going to take time. Like, be for real. Like I said, the only people who sit here and try to act like, so anyways, we're not even going to worry about them. We're going to continue to worry about ourselves. Like, just little stuff like that is just like, be for real. Like, as I get older, you guys, I don't have a tolerance, especially from grown adults. Don't be a grown adult. And a grown adult to me is over the age of 25, because your frontal lobe has developed. But like, don't be a grown adult. Don't be a grown adult 25 and older. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, hey, gave them, she with you. Don't be a grown adult with this type of attitude. Now, you young people, take what resonates, leave the rest. But as an adult, it's not a hit. It's not giving what it's supposed to give. So yeah, you don't have to rush. Don't worry about proof, because you don't have nothing to prove. I don't have nothing to prove. You don't have nothing to prove. So if you have nothing to prove and I don't have nothing to prove, why are we rushing? Why we feel like we need to hurry up? No, like I said, the people that preyed on your downfall, people that caused a lot of times the trauma in our life, they're the only people who feel like, oh, you need no. People don't have control over you. People don't have authority over you. You have control over you. You have authority over you. Take what resonates, leave the rest. But most importantly, take your time. Because if you don't, when it's time for you to move forward, when it's time for you to experience people that are going to love you and appreciate you and respect you and want to be there for you, you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to block them. You're going to deny them. Just because you experience a bad relationship with certain people in your past, every man is not like that. Every woman is not like that. You're not going to know because you're afraid. Same thing with jobs. Same thing with environment. Same thing when it comes to building new friends or whatever it is. Imagine if I allowed certain people in my life to affect me. I would not be able to be in certain relationships with certain people or experience certain things because of my past or my trauma, which was never going to happen, okay? So thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for engaging. Thank you guys for liking. I think I already said that, as well as turning on your post notifications and subscribing. Let me know your experience. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know how this video resonated with you. Make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. All the information is down in the description box below, okay? Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. I will be going live answering you guys' questions, comments, concerns if I didn't already in the comment section, as well as booking your service and session. I said as long as booking your service and your session. I don't know why I just got tongue twisted, but yeah. If you want a service in a session, click the link down below. But if not, stay tuned for further videos. Okay, love you. Bye.